Hello, fellow Americans. You are on the YouTube channel Common Constitutionalism, and I am Mitch. I talk about issues in our government, the erosion of our culture, the minimizing of our way of life, and the disregard for our Constitution. Keep your conservative voices active. Subscribe to this channel and listen as I talk about issues we are facing in our country and government. Visit my website, commonconstitutionalism.com. Enjoy reading my conservative blogs, and if you like them, maybe throw in a donation. While on commonconstitutionalism.com, go ahead and shop at the Sage Novelty Shop, where you will find shirts which feature our very own unique conservative political memes and captions. Display your conservative beliefs with pride. These items send a clear message without saying a word, or if you prefer, you can use them as a conversation starter. Come join my Facebook group, Common Constitutionalism, for discussions of topics, sharing of ideas, and interacting with others just like yourself who are proud to be Americans. This is Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Anarchy, and the Liberal Agenda. Part 1. Just a few weeks ago during the pandemic, the liberal state governments threatened that if the federal government did not give them federal funds to help them overcome the cost of COVID-19, they would be forced to lay off or reduce budgets of police, first responders, and teachers, suggesting that this was a terrible thing. Now, however, in light of the rioting and looting, supposedly in protest of George Floyd's death, the left have changed their tune. The Democrats are backing the people taking over the sanctuary cities and demanding anarchy. As these militant groups take over portions of cities throughout this country, they are demanding the defunding and, in some cases, complete dismantling of police departments. We have state governors and city mayors in these liberal-run states openly showing their true political stances. The liberal local, state, and federal politicians are now supporting these demands, and they have joined the anarchists in talking about defunding and dismantling police departments. I am sure these states still want the federal funds for COVID-19. But now those funds will be diverted into some liberal programs replacing police with nonviolent and non-forceful civilian or social facsimiles. The federal government had better not give taxpayer money to these states. So much for the necessary federal money to maintain the status quo police budgets they were talking about just a couple weeks ago over COVID-19. As usual, liberals tend to respond emotionally to situations, which is why liberal thinking is difficult to follow and understand in a realistic sense. The liberal viewpoints change with the tide and bounce from emotional response to emotional response. This takeover of America and the structural change of our government has been in works for a long time. The development of Antifa and Black Lives Matter was specifically for the purpose of forcing structural change. These socialist, fascist liberals were just waiting for the right opportunity to make their move. The George Floyd killing was their catalyst. Remember Rahm Emanuel's quote during the Obama administration? You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And then he says, and what I mean by that is an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before. Well, the Democrats follow that advice to a T. Backed by groups like George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton, and other prominent far-left individuals, Antifa and Black Lives Matter have been militarizing their organizations. They have been training in militant techniques, gaining size and strength while equipping themselves for hostile takeovers. I believe this round of takeovers has been a test to learn from mistakes and see how the liberal politicians would respond. They have found their answers. Do not doubt for one moment that this is not the tip of the iceberg. There is much more to come. The push to structurally change America is before us. If we do not stand firm against these factions, we will see our America disappear. Have you noticed these militant groups have not spared any particular segment in our population? To them, race, political affiliation, social status, or wealth has not mattered. They have burned and looted businesses and buildings, including low-income housing belonging to those of all races and social standing. Their end justifies their means, meaning do not get in their way, period. The people who are demanding the disbandment of police forces are clearly not speaking from an educated position. At least not one that is concerned with the overall protection of life, prosperity, and property. These same people are inciting anarchy, lawlessness, and destruction with no positive outcome. The results have been unequaled in our history of nationwide loss of life and property at the hands of these implanted and paid militant rioters of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Their agenda is obviously politically motivated. I cannot believe the liberal sheeple of this country who blindly follow such fascist ideology. These organizations dishonestly promote their directives as concern for civil rights and what is best for America. Myself, as well as many millions of Americans, are not buying into their injuring, killing, looting, destroying, and desecrating the property of innocent individuals as showing concern for civil rights or what is best for America. The liberal divisive actions and rhetoric has gone over the top. This fascist type of tactic has exploded over the last 12 years. Obama will be known as the most divisive president in America's history, and it will be his legacy. Conservatives believed Obama to be divisive, racist, and inclined to conduct we thought was abuse of power after his election in 2008. We saw Obama's actions embolden his administration and liberals to act with extreme bias in a win-at-any-cost way. Now the Democrats are led by a younger generation of political personalities, such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known by her initials as AOC, Kamala Harris, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. We see America's politics moving further and further left, to the point of not only an extreme socialist leaning, but also with a communist, if not fascist, tone. Plus, we have seen a rise in the number of Muslim politicians who do not hide their hatred of America ideals and want to inject their Sharia law into our United States Constitution. We have watched this liberal emboldened rhetoric rise to outright lies by promoting fake and fabricated propaganda using many underhanded and distasteful means. It is interesting to me how the blacks who speak of white folks being racist and white privileged can do so without reprimand. Also, that their words, which group all whites into one package, is somehow not racist. Then the whites who pretend they know and understand how the blacks feel, which is an impossibility and fallacy, these whites say they hide their whiteness. Oh, really? Like the black stranger looking at them does not see their whiteness? The truth is, these whites only speak such rhetoric out of fear that their whiteness makes them racist. I have news for them. Despite their rhetoric, they are and always will be white. I believe both the black and the white people fitting these scenarios speak with a racist tone. The people that see the color but are not concerned with the color are the honest ones. This category of people, which most conservatives fit into, regardless of their own color, judge all people of color by their actions, not by their skin color. When the term white privilege is used by minorities, it is based on anger and expectation of entitlement. When white privilege is used by whites, it is an attempt to cleanse themselves of the fear of being considered racist based on their white skin color. In the end, whites attempting to hide their whiteness is phony, because one cannot change their skin color. They will still be white, and people of color will still see their whiteness. I think it is unfortunate that people of any color will not step up to be responsible for themselves. White, black, brown, or yellow. If you act like a thug, you will be treated as a thug. This behavior is not caused by anyone else or another skin color. Everyone's actions, regardless of their skin color, belongs to themselves and are their own actions. People who act responsibly and respectfully are treated and viewed as such. Skin color has absolutely nothing to do with it. The cop killing of George Floyd was heinous. I do not believe there is any defense for police officer Chauvin's actions. Chauvin should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. In my opinion, the callous and unconcerned way in which Chauvin carried out this despicable act cannot be justified. The protest, unfortunately, a lot of times seemed to be at the wrong time for the wrong reason. However, in this case, the protests were pretty much supported by everyone, with very few exceptions. But then the politically sanctioned riots and looting began. This changed every reasonable person's view and caused the protests of George Floyd to get lost because of the militant takeover. This rioting and looting going on is indefensible, as these militant groups continue to destroy people's lives, their financial futures, and their businesses. They have burned business buildings and housing complexes to the ground in the unlawful hostile takeover of public and private property. These rioting groups are being led by militants in the Antifa and Black Lives Matter organizations. Now they have taken steps way beyond what should be acceptable or allowed in America. These groups have occupied a 6-block section of Seattle. They have put up barricades. They are frisking people entering the area. They are armed with weapons and are utilizing their own brand of justice. They have renamed this area Chaz, or is it Chop? Who knows? They have no apparent structure. Their only plan is to create anarchy. Whatever name they may call it, they have deemed it to be an autonomous country. It is now clear this whole action was planned from the start to go further and create more havoc than ever before. These militant organizations were just waiting for the right moment, and the George Floyd killing was that needed catalyst. You have completed watching part 1. Now please continue on to Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Anarchy, and the liberal agenda Part 2. Thank you.